Well, we're slowly getting closer to the start of the 2024-25 OHL regular season as the Hlinka Gretzky tournament has just wrapped up in Edmonton, where Team Canada has won their third consecutive title at the tournament. And I know not many people tuned in to watch, but still, it's kind of that unofficial start to this junior hockey season because a lot of scouts, they go out, they take in these tournaments and get a good look at some of these projected top prospects ahead of the 2025 NHL entry draft. And I wanted to do a video looking at a couple of the OHL standouts at the tournament, starting off with goaltender Jack Ivan Kovic. He's a member of the Brampton Steelheads, and at the tournament, he appeared in 4 games, but he registered a .75 goals against average and a .967 save percentage, which is quite remarkable for Ivan Kovic. I know he had a pretty strong team in front of him, but still, when you're that last line of defense, Ivan Kovic, he was up for the challenge. And we already know that the Steelheads, they're a team that's going all in. They made that big trade for Carson Rakoff. They got a lot of returning talent, including Ivan Kovic, who had his rookie season last year for the Steelheads. And for him, he only appeared in 25 games for the Steelheads, but he had a record of 14-5-4. That was his rookie season. He had a 2.72 goals against average, 915 save percentage. So it's not really a surprise to see him put on those pretty stellar numbers at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. But for Brampton, they're kind of spoiled in the goaltending department because they already have Ryerson Leenders, who's set to return to the Steelheads. And he had a record of 24-17-4 last season and a league best 909 save percentage for goaltenders who appeared in over 30 games. So yeah, you've got a 1A, 1B situation with Ryerson Leenders and Jack Ivan Kovic. It's kind of the envy of really the Canadian Hockey League at this point. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Steelheads address this, because with another strong showing at this tournament, do the Steelheads look to make a move? Maybe lean into Jack Ivan Kovic as your starting goaltender next season and maybe look to make a move with Ryerson Leenders? Or do you go with two solid goaltenders? I know for a lot of these goalies, they want to be the starter. They want to play night in, night out. But the big complaint in recent years from scouts has been how OHL teams or CHL teams in general kind of overplay their goaltenders. And sometimes the young goaltenders don't get as much ice time. And those are the goalies, of course, who are coming up in their draft eligible years. They want to see what these goalies are capable of. And teams are just riding their goalies. Like last season, it was Jacob Oster who appeared in the most games. Out of the 68-game schedule, Oster appeared in 70 games for the Oshawa Generals. Second most was Mason Vicari of the Kingston Frontenacs. He had played in 59 games. And then Carter George, 56 games with the Owen Sound Attack. Now, Carter George ended up being drafted by the LA Kings, so the scouting department there got to see quite a bit of him. But outside of that, if a team is just riding their goaltender, that risks burnout and lack of ice time for other goaltenders. Or it kind of shows that maybe you don't have that confidence in the backup or the number 2 goaltender. But for the Steelheads, I feel like this is a big question going into the regular season. How do they address their goaltending tandem of Ivan Kovic and Ryerson Leenders? I kind of think it'd be a fitting situation where they both play an even amount of games, but I think that might be easier said than done, especially with a 68-game schedule and this team looking to go deep in the Ontario Hockey League playoffs. They're right now the favorite to win the Eastern Conference. So if you do move one of these goaltenders, you know you're going to get some good pieces coming back. And there are some really good goalies set to return in the Ontario Hockey League next season outside of Ivan Kovic and Ryerson Leenders. I already touched on Carter George from the Owen Sound Attack. He signed his NHL entry-level contract with the LA Kings. Expect him to have a solid season next year to show what he's capable of as he tries to make his way into the Kings organization on a full-time basis. He also had an amazing save percentage last year on the Owen Sound Attack with that .907 save percentage, and that was on a team that kind of fell apart late in the regular season. Jacob Oster, who I also mentioned, yes, he appeared in 60 games last year, but he can come back for an overage season. He was also the OHL goaltender of the year. So, Oshawa, they're looking to have a deep run. So if Oster does come back, that's another solid goaltender in the OHL. One question mark I have is Liam Stushka. He's an OA candidate for the Peterborough Petes. If he comes back, do the Peterborough Petes look to move him, or will he stick around with the maroon and white? Because despite being on a team that missed the playoffs last year, Stuchka had a .905 save percentage and really kept Peterborough competitive in that first half of the regular season before the team eventually fell off leading up to the OHL trade deadline. So there's another solid goaltender with question marks. What happens with Liam Stuchka? So we also can't forget, if you're a Barrie Colts fan, Sam Hillbrand, who was outstanding in the second half of the OHL season. Him and Ben West helped carry the team into a playoff spot at the end of the regular season. And of course, with Ben West graduating, that means Sam Hillbrand will likely get most of the starts in the upcoming season. He wants to play for Team USA again at the World Juniors, and just all signs point to that being a very good possibility for Sam Hillbrand. So there are some really strong goaltending candidates going into next year for the OHL, but it's the Brampton Steelheads, who have probably two of the top goaltenders in Ivan Kovic and Ryerson Linder. So we'll see what happens there, but I think that's a big question mark going into the upcoming season. Another player that I wanted to recognize from the Hlinka Gretzky tournament is Matthew Schaefer of the Erie Otters. At the tournament, remember, he's a defenseman, 2 goals, 4 assists, good for 6 points in 5 games. Schaefer, he just looked very confident. His skating seems to have improved from last season. I think big things are on the way for the Erie Otters defense. And this is another team, just like the Steelheads, looking for a big showing next season. And for Schaefer, he kind of reminds me of Cole Beaudoin. I know Beaudoin, he's a forward, so a little different there, but it's just the path that these two players are taking. Schaefer, of course, selected first overall in the 2023 OHL priority selection. Kind of a slow start to his OHL career. Took him a little bit to get going. He ended up with 3 goals last season. And, he's not an offensive-minded defenseman, but still, he had 3 goals, 14 assists, 17 points last year. I would expect that number to jump up for the upcoming year, especially after that showing he had at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament, just like Cole Beaudoin did, as he came out of that, and it translated well into the regular season. And then we saw Beaudoin go in the first round of the Utah Hockey Club at the NHL draft. So I kind of suspect Schaefer is on a similar trajectory, although he's already projected to be a first-round pick for the 2025 NHL entry draft. So it's good signs right now for Matthew Schaefer. I'm excited to see what he does with the Erie Otters in the upcoming season, but it's only a few weeks away from the start of training camp. Cannot wait. I know this is our first look at some of the players that are going to be taking to the ice in the upcoming OHL season. And I was also looking at the schedule of the Tier 2 Junior C ranks. Their preseasons all get underway this week. So the OHL not far behind. Their training camps get underway the last week of August, and then the first OHL preseason games are August 30th. So we are less than 20 days away. As of the time of recording, 18 days until the OHL preseason gets underway. And we're going to see players like Matthew Schaefer and Ivan Kovic taking to the ice and trying to lead their teams to conference championships. And maybe we'll see Erie or Brampton appear at the OHL final in 2025. So time will tell. That's how I see it from the booth. I just want to talk hockey. That's what the purpose of this video was. The players that from the OHL who stood out at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. Other players also had good showings. I'm not trying to ignore those players at the tournament, but these two kind of stood out a little bit among the rest. So let me know your thoughts down below. Who are players that stood out to you at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament? And the big question, what do the Brampton Steelheads do when it comes to goaltending? Love to see the interactions. Thank you very much for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and we'll talk to you again soon.